Namo 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 Buddha. Let me remind all of ourselves to take a moment and cultivate the highest form of motivation. We call it Bodhisattva motivation, seeking complete enlightenment for the sake of all other thinking beings. And with that kind of motivation, we should all participate in this discourse on Bodhisattva's perfection of enthusiastic perseverance or joyful effort. How to work today?
Karsa Lilunya bola any metabasam gongurisa tinema and take count can dolma sungri tinema shiais.
Where we left off last week, if you may recall, that we talked about, among other things, that we need to reflect on death as impermanence of life to be able to counteract, our laziness And of course, that's something stated by Buddha himself in a sutra.
我从来是看着你的学没准备是啥叫的那一个毛人的写说的介绍来讲，主要的大部分课完了，就基本没有我这些是个少数的那有嘛写说介绍来讲，就这个把你课完呢，基本没有。我这些连老能当时，现在年纪高，头发没有了就高兴去，拿的个的去女性着，最近高的美女，越显了，今天把这娘儿人眼中呢，身体虽然的了，高二生写的，书，你都来了。帮的你不是去的这个大罗是，但这个关系，可是理论年不了呀，那没大把功夫的些，但没大把去的，可是写把家啥了，但你空的个地方，多了重要的，那写几个上的，从了写的水的这下，其他小没有些，除了这个考试不是这个张要么的，我的个这里可以，考的呢写没这个事。小妹子我这个主要就啥子要嘛意思，啥叫的呢也把嘛意思，就是可以是大家，我这秋天这不是那样，如果可以这个东西的可以也不用是，或者说那种啥要了，我这要嘛意思，小妹子我写的，啥子考现在可你们都用什么东西，过去呢小妹子没啥的主要要嘛意思，我这，可是啊。可原本介绍当下，介绍来讲是，上去介绍说你们没说，主要的不能看吧啦，基本没有，我这些人当时其他一起干，头发没有啥的要去，拿的个的些女性等，这些搞的没的也行了，今天把这两个人听着呢。两儿今天跑入两儿，念着呢，生些水人的了，搞啊生些的书，你们来了，英邦的也不是的些接受吧大老师，我的这个家去这个上面的去干啥的，小没得把他朋友的要么小的这些。他接着的从啊的主要的他不那课吧啦，甚至考这课的呢，那这被写啊个几万没的，他六是这样的，我是什么学认识？啊，你写啊个几万的，嘛他呢呀，多少的朋友是看看要嘛的，人家这个现在没有，现在也是我的，人们他们现在已经干死，现在他这个人这个。某些人多少现在那个看到长得要么是，你希望可能是个什么东西，他说人讲个希望搞什么些的要么这些，这些，头发没有让的搞些就是，那种都这些是，其他搞的这个是就是这些的，现在这信用上头发没有是，他说被法律都是这样的，你这现在我认识。这是我的，头发没有啥的高兴去，拿的个的钱呢，钱是，女性的，最近搞的没的越线了，今天跑路，两个人着呢，生气学习的了，搞了生气东西，这可是啥？你，他这有点这头发没有吧？对吧？这最近有些么了？那今天跑被人说这的这个被一般没有吧？这样的你天生学不认识，我就是我说，就现在他就学不上呢，这来看是，有他的 Tinia Taya, Tapi to Unico Ozera, the Tapitan Mea could draw something Kutusha was Shita said, Shitable, Doya Yomari. Do you know Zera? What is it? Jide Paru Younger and Yedru Karsa. Jide Younger Yedru na Singi Suji de la Gawa, she said Jide Paru. She the near to the Shires. This Shire the Tadabi till a tire Tapido Mashi, and there was Jibushi there, this Sivara. No, you can see the Paru Dona, Singi Suji de la Gawa Sims. Shedan Simsana, the Namju Damba, head of the Dambaina, and the Pagashi Dumaris, till Tayakia, Tavatavia, Tagi, bigger was. Said that those that are the idea in the bed, Namju in the Tibo. Kaka Mashi, so that in the car they were telling Tona Machine, Tandobe, Pagashi consumer Dioris, Otizawa, Karsa, see Suji. Della Gawa Sims, Odi Sheda, Della Gasilizana da, said Dilla Sibe, the hotel Gawashi, so but she was about him that Nimu Lulu Pangshe, never sure the Shike Sheba Rosa. She said, need the Mugba to the Shirayungudana in Shaw Meda Sun. And show me that Tanaji, Hinaji, Hinaji, and I know the move was the test for Yamju or Chushia, somebody that Korea, who tip on it. Any easy was said. You ever shared the guess? Said the delay, Chushia, Kumatoya, that easy media, show me without the goni. In Namjing, never showed. And the Namjing is a son, and she would be a good guess on in the Jawashimati, Jawashimani is not made me or Jawalango with the Hako. Tikon and the Jawashimati, Susan Deva Camilla, Yom Lake, Jesus John language, or this some locals in the Lake Canal and Dolin Sugar, or this cigarettes, what is it?
So last week and also just earlier, I said that we should reflect on death as impermanence of life to be able to counteract our laziness. And so in the extensive commentary, many different sources are cited to be able to substantiate that point or the contention. And as Geshe read through them and explained, for example, in the Jataka Mala, the garland of life stories of Buddha's previous lives, it is stated that everybody has to die and there is no place to run away to, escape to. There is no such place in samsara where we can feel safe, you know. And in the miscellaneous collection of Buddha's discourses in Tibetan called Chom, it is stated that the fact of life is that death is a fact of life. It is sure thing to happen. Despite that, still the sentient beings, live, how should I say, very leisurely and don't seem to have death awareness. And that's just quite amazing. Although, every one of the sentient beings will surely die, but every one of them is living as if death is something I'm not sure about. We have a doubt about that. And the way we live our life is very astounding and amazing, So as, Geshe explained that, in the case of like health conditions, we may find some environment or location not good for the health, then we can move to some other environment and where there's a better atmosphere and facilities to take care of our health, right? Those things do exist. But in this matter about death, there is no such place as this is where you die and that's the place you don't die. There is no escape route to anywhere. As a matter of fact, when the time comes, it is as if all the directions are blocked by a yama, the Lord of Death, and there is no escape route, and we just have to face it, and that is the state of our being and existence. But despite that, still it's very astounding that most sentient beings live like they're going to live forever. They think maybe that is, I don't know. Looks like we have a doubt about that. As Geshe explained that the great Indian master Dipankar Shijan Adishar Choche, we call it, sitting over there. He said that we must reflect repeatedly on the certainty of death. Death is a sure thing to happen. So if we sincerely do that and we develop that death awareness, very powerful, effective awareness of a death, then that will help us to be able to counteract, love to nap or sleeping and laziness. Otherwise, we get kind of distracted by laziness and loving to nap or sleep. So as Geshe explained, that if we seriously and repeatedly think about death is certain, sure thing to happen, nothing to doubt about. When it happens, there is no escape route. All the directions are blocked. And by the time of death is uncertain, we really don't know when it's going to happen. It can happen anytime. So if we reflect on these things sincerely and develop that acute sense of death awareness, that can be very transformative awareness, so that we will be able to now reflect on the fact that the death is not the end of everything. After death, we have to take rebirth. So what is going to determine that rebirth is not by our choice, what we would like to be, but it's determined by the kind of karmic actions that we have accumulated. So if the karmas are the deciding factors about the next life, then we started to learn that we should do the good karmas and we should stop doing the bad karmas or purify bad karmas. So this is how we find what we call the practice of abandonment and the practice of adoption. So this is how our life changes and we stay on the track, so to speak. But if we don't think about these things, even though the death is sure to happen, we know it intellectually, but we live like maybe it's not going to happen, and then it happens, there's nothing we can do about it. Death is very powerful. Tuchampo means there's nobody that can tackle the death, When death comes, that's it. Nobody can stop the death. And so that's the fact of life. So if we are intelligent, we have that intelligent faculty. So this is very important for us to reflect on these things and act now, isn't it? But if we live like leisurely and as if nothing going to happen, then we are really living a very dumb life. I didn't make that one up. Yeah.
Dawa ni tezung jur. Tela ta jur hiya maung di zhung. Kangshi mok de ni la ga jirwa. Tene xerab xeni nyamshung. Nyamshung su te lo yang yung se nyamba jur. Yi xe le ne ta di te nyam jur. Kangshi mok de ni la ga jirwa. Mi xe le lo nyum le xerab xel. Tela mema yinba la ni de. Nada neve, teni tsawan jiru. Kanshi moga yue la gajirawa, teni yesung tadi mendu de. Teni shio lan dunba ye me sha. Ba she jing shuma yinba tida, tika jiru. Kanshi moga yue la gajirawa, teni mungshi shio lan dunba nyam, shiba yande kunle yonsu nyam. Kabo Joshi, Mamba Joa, Jur, Shizu Song Sos, or Dirihada, need the Mubatu the Gawashin Tita, Nimu Nevat Hiorava, the Karazana. Like Tini, Demu Chawashi would pass, Demu Chawas, to Damian, Takwes or Disura, didn't shoot this. Then Tawani, Tezun years, and landed to the Labagat, easy to do this. Tell a Tatishan, landed Jigdash didn't landed the Zoli image, and the Tawa Yabashi, landed me what Tawas are talking about Mambo Yon's grace. Can you move the yellow gotcha was it? Mugba Daniel direction, so there was the Kabasha didn't. Then here I can yam sungers. Tomo Sheriff, of course, at Auziana, and in Munil Goshi, the Sheriff Mama, Jim and Yam do race. A tea lawyer using Yamagers. The Lord, the Sheriff, you whatever. You hear in the demo, you hear that 10 young Jews. You hear some in the long Dorjee Sheriff to the or till a young race. Can you move the yellow gotcha? Michel Lilo, newly sheriff shell. Tell her, Mamma be large days. Whatever. Long doors you call number 6 yet. And he shell out the number some check. Cause you move the yellow gajo. Michel Lilo, newly sheriff shell, sheriff shadows. Sheriff shadows, there are sheriff shows. The treasure of Mambo in the color, you said of Zanimir, say, payment of sheriff, he just says you're she's not got you. You know that you ever get the payment of sheriff, she says you're the roses. Tell her, me, my Gilani, this or the rest of the any source of never sing, sure the position of my designer, never see a liar is. So the big Gizia was yet. And jumped to your bush in the situation, Mima la new marba. Said the red young never see now so go, Mima never sing it in Lanzakora, never see the race. This year. Now I never tell so on Jursimra. Now I never tell you this, now I never said this, and that. Children, some of the Kodoshena. Just the never said, Ember never see, Ember never see Gomja Gero. She's the cook Gomju, some of them, and Lamsan could never see liars, or this way. Can you more than year ago, got your Timmy Geshe Phuntsok Gyeltsen, it's sure she myself, the year go, Ninia, the Kanjum Choyachi, or Telego, she tell go corner. In the church out to do Ragmare said here, because then we get changing go on you. Because you more than you got you, then more she surely the banyas and sure Keva, Mugunja time the banyam to say, Shiba Yonde Kun so Yam. Carbon junction, Mumber draw, she so sung so sad that the doy long that near the Bubal gosh, did a little she did in the Jodi yet that drearis, Churchia Chingumari, and so the shadow of the young Rory, and so no, never sing it, never see love, never see sugar shaggy. She will tell you, we never not good to go your mother, and young brigade. Yak, so the Yajig number of you talk Maris. Oh, the judge is
in the extensive commentary, Sutra of Encouragement, we call it Laksam Pivedo, encouraging us to engage in virtues, is cited quite extensively, and that's why Geshe was starting to explain, those lines. And so in that particular sutra of exhortation or encouragement, it is said that if we lovingly or indulge in lethargy and sleeping, right? Just love to nap. then many things can actually go wrong. That's what basically the Sutta is telling us. For example, if we get habituated, so to speak, in indulging in being lethargic and just sleeping a lot, that can actually, how should I say, contribute to to the promotion of ignorance. Ignorance is like a binding factor. Not it becomes much more, how should I say, pervasive. And so being lethargic and indulging in sleeping could contribute to that. And also, to love sleeping and being couch potato, it could decrease our intelligence or knowledge. Maybe in the beginning we know something about good things and positive things. Now we are so habituated in this that pretty soon whatever little bit we know we're going to lose it. So our knowledge will decrease as well. Of course, to love sleeping and being a couch potato, we become, how should I say, that can facilitate the arousal of all kinds of afflictive emotions, and so they can really distract us, that we don't develop any interest to study and practice of Dharma. That might even negatively affect losing our faith in the Dharma, because just being a couch potato seems to be quite a joyful thing, to do, right? Doing nothing is blissful there. And so, to love being lethargic and sleeping, it can distort our knowledge, intelligence. The Tibetan word is called sherab chelva. Sherab is sometimes we translate as wisdom. Chelva means distorted. What this really means is that we may know really a lot of stuff intellectually, but all that knowledge is useless. So the useless wisdom is we call distorted wisdom, right? If we ask them like, yeah, I know, yeah, you can tell so many things, and then it has no use, right? Because never put into practice. So that kind of distortedness, wisdom distortion will happen. And if we love to be lethargic and sleep, then we could also become potentially vulnerable to be harmed easily by all kinds of invisible negative beings. They find it very easy to attack us and disturb us. Let's say even if you are in a solitude, just wanting to do practice, but then all this, invisible kind of negative beings and your own afflictive emotions can easily distract you, and so therefore they will snatch away all our aspiration to do practice. So being lethargic and love to sleep, it will always prevent any progress. We will never be able to progress in our study and practice. What else? Let me see. And so, I mean, Tibetan sometimes we use the word, it can decrease our intellect or it can decrease our intelligence. We use them interchangeably, intelligence and intellect here. So another thing I shall explain is that to love to be lethargic and sleepy, this can promote what we call distorted views. And then pretty soon we might even not believe in the infallibility of law of karma and outcomes. So we thought, so what? Well, what is this karma thing? And so then our life will be whatever. And so we have kind of what, leisurely, and so all things can become very mundane, and we will not be able to develop interest in super mundane, practice.
Nyūdi tāng lōmur di chīwē, tātā nē tsōng gāwa nē chēr ngēbar shē yāng, tātōng rēshī nēshīwē lōng yu dō shē nā, chē wā mā sē nē nām chē lā ngēbar mē chīng, shē jīng shē dō mā wē, Said the ring the never 2 new year the show on Joyous. She said, she see is Shawati also Moshingo participate and this is doing Chicar paying a say, Nangal gave us Sabala say, New to ye, thousands of a shagu, so she was there. Trebanya les, Summer Misu be Shiva Tizi Mashua, Tizi Shuni Vilaki, Yevataru, Shizi the Shuni, she see do so such a Shivandela, Japel, she see Soba, South Sugbe, Shiola, then she see Shivi, you Nagaso, Soba, South Chu, Shabs Chivesi. New year, she gave to him, but here was, or did that del days or that. There was sure she was a shield, hit the shit over his. She was the tell she was calical cheese over his and the calical share was the Namjing him, sang at the dark was the louder than never show someone urging himself such a Yima Higora, what he died, the Namjing him some at the radio. She has a she would share, she would share, she would say, Tadashi Mari said, and the Laruna Desumut, Tadashi Mari said, she didn't sona, Tashito and the Lazo, Tadashi Marazam, who did him and Dog Maris, or this summer or dictates at injury. So that they'll dancing gave me some grace or did Tikajareka. But this year, because long year they can Shiva Mazi that nothing ever measure. She should the Moyes that use it in nothing said because she get the Mongolia so begin you or Teresa Pena. She get that near Nasa say and over the Buganis because Mount Bugas the Mambo, you're the or you car. That's so begin. And say good name about. Nor Lungju, that ya so begin here already. So begin nor Lungju direct toll any pay so show and double. Any say modern show and double. Cause you so begin Mount Gangadia, she get a mention your maris. Say that they move to the James and the Jiguada Kaji. Corrosition money, but they call you. Dig no matter with it. And so begins the Ganga, she enjoy yours. She said that she didn't want you a turkey to your marriage. Leka to Karshina, no Luzusana, she can do what it says again, she can drive, but did Mama is nor Luzu Mavasadena, and she dog be saying, some drive to younger or Norman, did a Yomara, and said there was a big chan in Yan Hidra. She done. She gave much girls, so young was or teach it. They're louding her Mary. Lunyam Shungas. And she gave Moboyana young to charge or those or Chaboyana. And got that the change in the course to what did Marcy. Lunyam Shungas at the Zana. Did it happen? Samasuna light at the end that he does you were called. They were shepherd to be baking music, different that they go over or the go Maris. We said that did us on the Tani any Karza Namji Emerson Congress. What they did, I did. Namsing him said she would catch him as zero. But the sugar is at Pichigangal Euro, the Tatashi was a Shigapadile. She thought she was in a Tatashi was or this on the Congress, Lanisha Euro. What is good?
So reflecting on death as impermanence of life has several pertinent essential points to be considered. And the one we talked about already and emphasized is that death is certain, certainty of death. Okay, perhaps that doesn't need too much of a discussion because we all, right, understand it. Yes, who lives forever, right? I'm going to die, everybody's going to die, so death is certain, So maybe that's not what is really preventing us from engaging in our practice. Because we might easily think, yes, I know death is certain, and what can help me at the time is the Dharma, so I should practice Dharma. So we all agreed on that. But then we should be practicing. Okay, I'll practice a little later, right? So we have the tendency to procrastinate it to some other time, although we all agreed, right? Dharma is something we should practice. That's the only thing that can help at death, but we still have time, okay? So that's the tricky part. So that leads us to the second essential point: the time of death is uncertain. That is the mystery thing about it. It can happen anytime. Why? So there are many reasons given here in this text, and also you are familiar with the reasons we have talked about in the context of Lamrim, stages of the path to enlightenment section on the death and impermanence of life, isn't it? So here are some of the reasons we have. The time of death is uncertain because there are many adverse conditions working against our life, right? There are many things that can cut short our life anytime. So they're just innumerable, okay? Whereas the conditions to support our life, relatively speaking, are limited and few. Okay? Adverse conditions are abundant, and the supporting conditions are very limited and few. But even these supporting conditions, every one of them can become adverse condition and cut short our lifespan. So that is the unfortunate news here, isn't it? I mean, we all know that if there's going to be a war break, well, that can kill us, right? I mean, we all know that. If there's going to be some kind of epidemic sickness, like that might kill us all. We know that, If there's a disaster, we might kill. So these are, we know, adverse conditions can kill. But then usually we think that food sustains life, right? Food is a supporting condition. House is a supporting condition, all those things. But then, we eat the wrong food, or we overeat it, or something doesn't sit well with our health, and that brings the health condition that cannot be cured, and it could kill us. So it easily becomes an adverse condition right there, isn't it? And we think that, yes, resources are important for our living. So we spend a lot of time to make money and to accumulate wealth, but then we become very rich, and somebody doesn't like us, we become rich. So he or she wants the richness, so they kill us. So I said, okay, I need that too. So now we lose our life for this because of that, what we consider as supporting conditions, And so this is why, we have to really seriously take into account this particular aspect of the death. Time of death is uncertain, and it could happen anytime. In the Lamrim context, as Geshe was checking over this can trick us even when we are on the deathbed, right? We think like, maybe not this time. I'll come out, okay? Then I will practice. You're already on the deathbed. You still have one more hope, right? Not this time, okay? So then I will really seriously dedicate into practice. Even in the last minute, so this thing can trick us, right? Of course, when we are not on the deathbed, it will trick us a lot. So this is why, as we meditate on death and impermanence of life, this is perhaps a very, very important point. Certainty of the time of death is a mystery part. And there, as we said, many conditions that can make it happen anytime, So we have to seriously think about that. But the other thing Geshe mentioned in the concept of Lamrim is, let's say, even if all these bad conditions and the supporting conditions can become bad, but let's say if our life is made out of iron or a rock, well, then maybe it can take some blows, isn't it? But our life is very fragile. It's very sensitive. Even a little nail can poke us, and then that creates the condition, and we die. Like you died because a thorn pricked you or a nail got into your foot, right? That's almost like a laughable thing. But that's how fragile our life is. Our life is not made out of a iron or a rock or a mountain, Otherwise, it can take some blows, So as we reflect on these things, then this can really powerfully create that effective awareness of death, and then that can help us to counteract, laziness of all kinds, especially the laziness of being a couch potato. Yeah.
Tata karsa, tata 수도 되네 시와 여와 쇼비체 여와시베 쇼위체나 시에 들어 밥네 시다 가르소바티 이제 릴로방네 여와 드버 제정 네 여와 주로 예베 뒤마이신 여와 드바라 네바 예베 뒤자마이베 디 두소 베바 시바 시샤데 그베 동정세자 면접 배소 디제 여드베세 뒤마이베 주진 영데들 샤그베 레남 레 데다네 니시쇼 냥두 이라 삼양 라글레라 마다베 마시바탐 샤왕가시네 타다 샤그 냐네 라드랑랑티 고자베 시바 신바당 샤원데달레 페지르시네 네 잠네 시에좀 시신신 시라마 조바르 마시바르세 네베 가도 힐라세 로부디 시다옹바 조르초네스 저네 탑시자 민도바 투디제 니두 투디제 니두 투디제 니두 스바르 히바나 질시와 루와잠 시장 제단 남자지스 토 고든드 파바 힌두 로부동와라 마셰베 게슈 주비양 주노 유미 가서 주노 게슈 주노 예정 주베 네바 예베 투소스 마드바타네 예레체 영샤메도 냐네세 셰디 주베 쇼기 후지 냥게지 맹아당 셰데세 시다그 로이 딕두 다니 조모시 이라 생신 주베 동원조 티세 중세자 샤메베나 다다네스 마시 순제데스 뇨메 길로온데 메도와 치카팽이베 게벨레 치니레스 뇨디베네 조바쇼고 데라 책지 나메 뇨디쇼와다 심메 남징이미 조데바이노스 다데레 카사 디 남징이메 사바디 다고 다다네 되는 데 남지 싫어서 다 시사래서는 에 들으자면 최시쇼르세는 두두 최시하고 네바요 말이지 치다 가지고 그거 네 나사가 또 좋은데잖아 최시야 네바요만 신호요 말이지 제가 들으자면 시고사한테 눈두레스 그래 제가 메가갈베 신루자는 샤가게 때대시 뭐샤시야 레는 시도를 맞으시 샤가가 따다 샤네 항마메샤 안 치사데산 시동이 되요 말이스 뭐 제가 남진이면서 대상구리 스테인서 자 그래서 로우쇼 다 유가 전에서 전에네 탑지야 면도버 뒤도서나다 탑시야고 하는데 면도버 뒤뒤에 니도 수업을스 히바나 다 뒤에 히도 히바나 되는 심지라네 질시와 좀 시자 대단한 남자지 토자 토스는 가서 다 토세 이제 그 토저세 로브자죠 디게자라 저도 고도 파스데 시야에 말아서 시야요 그러시거라 고도데 파바 헤디 로브도 마시면 예저 유진 주변에와 예배 뒤서 마저베 다네 예외레체 샤메도 냐네 신도 예배 쇼기 휴지 양의 지명아 당체에 대해서 시다그 Lo dik du, da ni zhe mo xie yi la, sem xin jue bei dong er jo wa, di zi zhong xie jia sha mi we na, ta da ne ma yi cun xie di, nyong le yi le lo ong di me dong wa, xie ka pen nge we, ge we li jin re, nyo di be ne, zhuang ba sha wu. Sa de la zi ji nga me nyo di xie wa da, xie me nam xin yi me zhu den ba yin no si me ru, di me zha. Di xie da, e kwa da xie tu le pa wa zi xue xie xie wu si, xie tu le pa wa zi xue xie ya ma ri si. En tu de dan da, jue ba xie di ma ye zi, xue xie ya di ba ka ka zo sa ri si wa da. En tu de dan da jue ba da xue xie wu de, nye ma di tang sa yi di xie yu ma ri, da ta da di xie ya di ba mi du sa di. En nye ma di jue ba xie di, jue ba cha wu be, xie ya ni ga la yang zhong jue ba cha wu jie ni. En ti de xie da ga la kwa li pa ka lie ni, xie ru gu ri, xie da tu de dan jue ba xie ya ma du xie, en xie wa xue wu se, en xue xie ya ku ka zan ya ma ri, xie da, ta da be, de ba sang bo yi be ka du, en xue xie na, en tu de zan la, en xue xie wu ri si. En xie ga la wa, xue tu le pa wa zi, en xue xie ya di, go go dong la ri ma du xie, di pen to la ma, xie xie to ya da, xie nu ni wa yo ma ri, xie we long wo yo ma ri si, xie da ta da xie wu ri si. Ka zhe, ta tere, xue xie ya, xin zhuang ba so wa, xue xie guo san di pen ka ma, ta da lam san lam sa xie gu xie ya xie yo ra, wo di ke zha ra. Wo tere, xie guo san di de de me pen ka ma, lam san lam sa xie gu ma do, xue xie ki ma zheng wa de, xie wa de, xue xie ya yi de, su nga ha mo wa yi zang, en lam san lam sa, lam liang tar to wa xie gu ri si, wo di di zi.
On page 87, stanzas 7 and 8 read, "For as long as death is actually approaching, then I shall accumulate merits. Even if I then put a stop to laziness, what will be the use? That is not the time. When this has not been done, when this is being done, when this is only half finished, certainly the lot of death will come, and the thought will occur, oh no, I'm done for," unquote. So Geshe-la's reading of the commentary and explanation pertains to those two stanzas. So the main point we are trying to focus on is the uncertainty of the time of death, right? That's the mystery. It can happen, any time. And so right now, we are healthy, life is good, we can practice. So it's the smart thing to fear death right now and then engage in virtue and practice, because the death has not yet, come here. So this is the smart thing to do, and that's why we are reflecting on, death as impermanence of life. Yeah? But if we wait too long, we said, yes, I'm damn sure that, I will die, and then practice the only thing that can help me. But, wait a little bit. First I have to get this thing done. I have to complete this task, this work, and then I'll do it. Well, in the process of that whole waiting, the death could come first before we get to practice. Yeah. And then you say, you know what? No, when that's stuff, then I will really practice at that time. Well, then it's like, it's too late. It's not the right time. Really, you can practice when the death is already hovering over you. There's not much time. Maybe by that time, our body is so, maybe it's also inflicted by some health conditions. So we don't have the ability to practice. There's not much time to practice. We are freaking out, anxiety. And we think like, wow, when I had time, I didn't do it. Dang it. Now, this is like, so there's anxiety and the fear and, all of these things, and the strong sense of regret that, I should have, and all of these things are competing in our mind. And then really, how can you practice at such time, isn't it? Everything is kind of hitting us all at the same time. So therefore, as it's stated here, this is not the time. Yeah, if you say, I'll wait until the death strikes me, and then I will really concentrate and do it, too late, wrong time. you don't have the ability to practice, and you have anxiety, you have so much regret, and so it is too late for that, so therefore, right now, as we have the health, in a good condition, so we should think about uncertainty of time of death, and then the decision we have to make is that I should seize the moment now and practice whatever I can. Not like, okay, I will practice, isn't it? So I will practice is in the future, right? And I should practice now. This is the sense of urgency, that needs to be there, as Geshe said, not that, I'll get all these things done. As the stanza 8 says, almost everybody dies without having done everything they wanted to do. You have started to do something and then you die. You have done half the job and then you die. You thought, okay, it's almost complete. Can I get one more day? No, you die, right? So, the death comes and this looks like we have so many unfinished tasks left. That's the nature of things, So we cannot say, I'll do this and I'll do this. I'll finish all of this thing. Then I will do practice, right? The practice is the last thing. Before then, the death strikes us like a lightning, like, hello, I'm here, surprise. And then that's it. There's nothing we can do about it, and so this is where, as Geshe said, we all know death is certain. We all know we must practice Dharma. Virtue is the only thing. But probably we are very much strict by and kind of influenced by that we don't think too much about the uncertainty of time of the death, because we always think there's going to be time. There's going to be time. I will practice. I'll practice. And that somehow, it's a very deceptive thought. That is, what kind of cheats us,
东给真的这阶级看了大的松，这亲着那个老着的日色不是现在女着写送了，这现在从来讲，他跟这是他吧那是连着的不用嘛这里面这样，有人在吧当。小路说谁家那么随心去吧，那恐怕是不吧，现在希望的你新人做的，水农超不是运做的，日晒机我呢是不我现在，才牛的在我说别推美国呢是牛的希望是希望也被吹电了，路正来讲。毛妹妹在学着，弄个觉得的，在的感情那边等下有嘛写等啊，等到上学等到能，腾起我的下，等到丢着下就什么呢？现在陪了都，现在陪着老多所以到我也，没怎么着。马上给我这娘的些路不的些最的东西，我听不到，路不些的白头蒙我都的，现在从来的了，可是你多来些，是没到东街真的着是，真做不来为对下去了这些，这些就是看了大的东西。看这个做的什么写着什么也不写着路不写着我。这不给过嘛长话写着，冷啥的，咱们是兄弟啊，我的叫咱们是两个人的，这些看了他生死的着，但这厕所那个老单着是老着的，那个老是抽嘛，有人我的嘛是吧？的着是，日晒不知道不是牛着是，现在日晒不的出头的要的这个牛着，冷啥老着这是。写送拉塞，这现在从来讲是，他给他把那是连着了不娘嘛这里面这样，有的在吧的，小路说谁家那么随时吃吧呢？恐怕这不现在希望新人做的， Chunung Chabo, Yunjoadang, Resaji Gones, Shumba Hindu, say you there so better gones, you do show me to den loss, or Tivra, did that Dole Sula Yagal Karza, Tinda Jas, Togatin Dashi, Doji Halata Jos, Karza, Izimagabe, Jedulumo, and the Jevo Yang. Kuma Losalas Jen Rajero Dirimja. Do it says so Nangelo does the Jovo say Radita. The Geshe did Redua. Don't get inside Jovo is at Redua. Nangelo said Diego Jovosia Pedana Dimira. Reserve budget Yunjo Joss. Here some said, take it to Somlija. Tage Tabanas. Tage Tata Tagde Nima Nima Mamu Dejo Taya Yomaradi. You know, Jovo Tata, so number so words, or this word. Karza Yamal Mille Mindoya, Newton Zeva Tangsa. Ta Shalu Rose, and then was a similar say out the Subject to Cardinal Digro, Cosuza was key drying. Kobachi when Susan yet you go loves on the later receiver. Shaluzo. Session Suji Chiva, Kobachi Repova Hindu. Shuala, she didn't draw the Shulung Chokbo. Shulung City, the Chishembo Zero, Shulung Chokos, Shulung City. Shishiboshe, Chago, the Bala Chago. The new Dishe, Yeba, Karsa, Shulung Chago, Yundoada, Shulung Chago, Yoda, the Resaj Bob, Resaj Babda, Babdo Tisati, and when Subawa Shendi, you're doing zeal, so Petume, Goni, Petume, Goni, Yudishua gave Sweden la Lobjing Ledger, the Loma Jones, the Duffqueen, Lobjing Sajoroa. Mama Mesa Shuta Shova de the Gaden Navy, Dunga, Yoma, Shadow. So on dinner, Sunset didn't judge Bodhisattva, dinner to teacher, give Simana, Shinji Vejola, so get that. Mixamatu Maran Kevorenium de he Lubud Sudan dos, or Timmy Rakaji Delegata. Change the Nangelo Chikoji Delia, Pemidoya, Namsing Emisa, the Pemido, some she do. Kaldawa Nangit, don't get Tinda. Any result above Suda, Badota, result Shunuta would you add, or the peg to me going. Any day, Jogo Yashua, the Jogo Yomadi, Pemamugon Song Yas, or Dimira, did Tana, that Lobjins at Loma Jaws, Tetaco did Hagba Shuka would kill Marmek killed Zibaris, Cook, say to Hagba Yamara, or teaching what is, or said that the Namji Yime Pekeda said the new door, and Namjing ever made she. Or did they pay to the Mabu Gone? Any new show up as a nursing him gone. Any little dog race that on that what is it?
So in the extensive commentary, they cited a sutra, miscellaneous collection of Buddhist discourses called Som, and providing us plentiful examples that we could use to be able to reflect on the certainty of death and the uncertainty of time of death, so that we will be able to act now as we have time to engage in virtue and practice. Okay? So we feel the sense of urgency to seize the moment now and do positive things. So as Geshe explained in a sutra, they said, our life is as short-lived as the autumn clouds, which are blown by the winds, isn't it? So they are just here and then they're not here anymore, right? It's as, and it's sure that these clouds are blown away and then they are blown away quite fast, isn't it? So that is like death is certain, but the time of death is uncertain. The death is approaching fast, in other words, that we have to reflect on that factor. Another example given is, our life is as, transcend as watching, dramas, performance, right? Somebody just comes on the stage as a king and then, then change the role play and become a minister and then become the bad guy. All of these things is like changing every now and then, and nothing seems to be very static and lasting here. So our, life is as transient as, watching a show, right? Performance, artistic performance like that. Our life is as ephemeral as the lightning that strikes very brightly and then it's gone in a moment. It is that ephemeral, and we don't know when the lightning is going to strike, but it strikes and then it's gone in a moment. So our life is as ephemeral as that. Our life is, as, just like the waterfall. The waterfall never, stays in a moment, right? It just keeps running down. And like that, we are kind of walking towards the Lord of Death, so to speak. We are always moving in that direction. Right? As we said this before, there is no wrong way, no detour here, just only one way, getting there as fast as possible. In the miscellaneous collection of Buddha's discourses, some also give some other examples like our life is just like these innocent poor animals which are taken by the butcher to the butcher's shop where they will be killed. So as they're walking, every step is bringing them closer to the death, isn't it? So it's like that. Every moment of our life is really not lengthening our life. Actually, it's shortening our life, and we are, getting closer to Yama, the Lord of Death. Our life is just like the river flow, that is constantly flowing, and everything's changing. There is nothing that is constant. So our life is very transient. In that manner. Or our life is just like watching a weaver weaving a carpet using the yarns, right? And the yarns get exhausted, and so like that. Our life is finite. It's not infinite, inexhaustible life we have there. In another text called Lobting, I think letter to a disciple, literally translating. It is said that our life is just like a butter lamp, burning butter lamp that's exposed to the wind, isn't it? So we know this butter lamp will surely die out, but it could die anytime soon, isn't it? Because the wind is constantly blowing and it's exposed to the wind. So using these plentiful examples, so we can convince ourselves that death is certain, the time of death is uncertain. So before all of these things can happen, it's a smart thing to act now, in the sense that we engage in virtue and we do our practice, not to procrastinate to some other time, No.
Oh, this is because didn't Sangha didn't Tangshi all the shots, the lobbying radio didn't use Resha. 就是么呢？信息培训老多，说起到哎，也没怎么就马上，看么人家的些老不的些最点多是，我的老中人样子，但我是这个可是，小孩那个餐厅的主要要么身上去，老人都送这么的，一个给住人些些，一个给住的。 내가 지다 내가 강가 사서는 내가 당구지 송리스 제가 대지 뉴아지에 얘기한도 주디 그렇게 가 통리 예 기술이 가피가서 비게다 내가 강가산 내가 돈도 어디 저기 저 차야 그러더라. 제가 늘 내가 늘 데리려고 늘 알레테 가 줄려고 그래서 늘 차기 먹고 있는 시도 얼마든지 그게 시대상 다시야 다시는데 예서는 내가 강가산 들에 시는 그게 드스로 고가돼요 말이지 어디서 그러나.
So the time of death is uncertain and it can happen anytime. Death doesn't wait for our plans to be executed completely. We might have a very grand plan. Okay, today I'm going to do this. So that's for tomorrow. That's for day after tomorrow. So after I finish all of these things, then I will practice, right? And the death doesn't wait for our, plan to be accomplished. Actually, as we said before, almost everybody dies with unfinished tasks, and that's the nature of life. And so what that teaches us, the lesson is that don't trust too much the life that is very uncertain, because death can happen anytime, There's a very interesting anecdotal story about, a monk teacher and a student. Yeah, the monk student always, he wants to go out for picnic. Looks like his teacher is a little bit tough and stingy one. He said, no, finish all the things, I told you to finish, then we will go for picnic. But it never happens like that, There's always things to do. So one day, there was a lot of noise, something, crowd, and the teacher said, go out and check out what's happening there. So he saw a dead body being taken away. And then the smart student said, so what did you see? Like, oh, somebody really finished the job and now going home now, right? So that's what it is, nobody, you can't wait for that. So by the time we said, I'll get everything done and then I'll practice, the death comes, isn't it? So the student informed the teacher, yeah, today somebody finished all the job and now he's going to the picnic here. And so that's the story we have, right? So we cannot, plan too many things like, I will do this, I'll do that, and then I will, practice, right? And that may never happen. Yeah. So we might end up going to the picnic, before doing the practice. So.
진짜 양행의 동배 여와 살면 대다른 랑이 로브도 쉬어 뒤지세 마지 딕바체 여와 마지 여와 마드페 제바다 체마 유선 좋아 시바다 다다 니 도버 좋아서지 양의 휴기 장시 뭐바 이 닉마보 조정 동의 심하면 어미디 잡았던 대체 여드는 지장은 대치 칭해봐 시에네세 초식 손배레다 셰바던 시에섬 양나라의 시에 여드는 누가 제 양의 숙지 장바의 맥바보 조정 동의 심은 자와 신비 권에세 다른 데 손배 So me do nyane si nyedna rada sheba dang sheba ya yela ya mingmar dong le shema zabi nyedna la dag te ne tani nyedna da dam je so nyane rani rada sheba dang shejani sheba nang wo sa da de la shega no career san teres and so be年纪了确实嘛就现在挺绝吧这些因为起码年少的这个的时候这个身体这些因为在的年度的开头也到第身体这些的因为身体就送上其他些什么的些第在的确实也有一些个包括要嘛的是都是让人这个意思因为说是每个被ngu的长的是是上这个样面的所写出来的那比较就的都是这个什叫的大概写出的是可是我的这个因为是写样写没写到的是是这个开始看到平时你看这个什读我呢贴着的写呢因为这个两个把一嘛都是他非得看看要嘛是他的怎么看没看来呢确实这个叫什么呀你这边他非得呢마나 그디 데모타메 그디 쇼고레스 나 히로시도 잘는 대쇼시 되게 말이잖아. 시토야 요말 뒤도 시사리스. 뒤도 시사네네. 이거는 최신이 마지막에 sembr이 뭐 되게 작아서 에네 누가 이자스나 좀 셰셰 히로리스. 어디서 이제.
At the bottom of page 87, stanza 9 reads, their faces flowing with tears and their eyes red and swollen with sorrow, my relatives will finally lose hope, and I shall behold the vision of the messengers of death, unquote. So as Geshe explained this, that, if we kind of, decide to do our practice, later, like when the death actually hits us, that's too late. Because, so many things can overwhelm us at the time. For example, we regret very much that when we had the time to do practice, we were reminded many times we never did. So now we regret, right? That kind of regret is eating us up inside. And then we also know that after death, if, all this negativities we accumulated, they can precipitate our rebirth in the bad migrations. So now this is making us freak out, right? This whole fear overwhelms us. And then now we know that we are being separated from our loved family and forever, right? And then that is the worry. So all of these things are compounded, and you think we are going to practice at that time, and now our health has gone bad. And so we really don't have the time. We don't have the ability to do practice at that time. Okay. So we should really realistically think about this situation now, so that as we are very healthy, things are, still fine, and we are able to practice. So we should practice now so that we prepare ourselves better for that eventuality. Okay. So that is the big lesson here. So don't leave everything for the last minute, and then maybe our own eyes will be red and swollen with all the regrets and all the fear and all the anxiety, and we are just freaking out, and there's nothing we can do about it. And even if, let's say, we are dying, but then our relatives, they are worried like anything. They're crying and they're lamenting that you are separating from them forever. Their eyes are red and swollen, and they're just pleading you not to die. But nothing can stop that, isn't it? None of us can prevent the death from happening. And at that time, we will have no confidence, ability, or conditions to practice, and so it is too late at that time. So don't wait until it is too late, but be smart and think about these things now, and so we can take good care of ourselves for that eventuality. And we would like to stop there today, and we welcome your questions. Or nothing on the Zoom? Okay, so then we have all the time in the world here. Please take it away. Yeah.
Just wondering, what is the best thing to do for a dying person? Because recently my brother passed away, and I really didn't know what to do at the moment. So I don't know whether he had a good death or a bad death. So could he answer?
Sure. Moran condition the did again. The Michi Chiduku Nas Rovage, and Delia Manzurgi, Dachi for Rogacher of Carriores, Rovage, Bonachasana, Tata Niesa Morangi, Solar Rovage, Tronso, Cheteske Majunsa Rovage. Come when a Koran, the Shia, the Koyakujin Shidu in it, to judge Shidu in a sort of game into Rovage. Just a Mich Chidu Gandia, Delia, Japan, for Carlos Naronasu. The machine and the Shidu in the Rovage.
시리즈는 되다 네 거기 편도시하다 장으로 되다 거기 ko ji mige se mo de mo jo ges gon hito ya de tab hirim sia je si warta se de da namji tuzung se de sia jo ji yo la je be am jo ge sing namji nyam yo ge na ini ta jin ji re ya ta ji sam to jam ro shi se jo la mal so to so ge sa hia ya me na en so yo go ju ge ne yo cha yo ne ko ro de jam ro shi ngo de de dong de na en ko de shi do ge de am ro hu ro to de ne en ko de pe do jo yo ko sem de la so wa shi ne kan je shi ga la ga ya me ge sem ni mo je de mo de ma jo shi ne hia ta ji ya ji des what is your this is what
the best thing we could do, at least try to do, is for the dying person, to die in a positive kind of state of mind. Yeah. So not to let the dying person to die with some negative thought or state. That's going to be very detrimental. And of course, I said this before, if the person who's dying already has some kind of practice, then we can remind him or her of that practice, isn't it? In the Tibetan tradition, when somebody's dying, we say, we always remind that person, okay, now please focus on your practice, whatever is your main practice. Maybe your practice is refuge, maybe your practice is Guru Yoga, Gaden. Whatever your practice is, please stay with that, right? But then if somebody doesn't have a practice, then I think the only thing we can do is in every possible way, we help the person to think something positive, and die in that positive state of mind. And that is very instrumental and very, very important. And of course, we also recite, mantras, we hold the power of the mantra, especially if people have some kind of inclination for the mantras, by hearing the recitation of the mantra, right, that might remind them to think something positive, So this is, what Geshe says, we could try to do. Yeah. Any other questions?
So Geshe mentioned the conditions of death. I think in the Lamrim, isn't there a distinction between the causes and the conditions of death, like eating unwholesome food or eating too much, or all the others, operating equipment without skills, and these are all conditions. But are they not the causes of death?
Okay, sure. Okay. I'll check.
Yes.
Quran the condition they did again. That again, Manzo Chiwang Yaba the Namjing Yemeshe Rogan. Chidukalaya, that's Shingen Ya Chicken the Duguris Lavrogan. Shingen Ya Chicken the Duguris Lavrogan. Shimbekin Ya Chibikin Duguris Lavrogan. Chidukala that did Yen Shevarogan. Chidukalada began on the Chiwa, you do a Chive Judan Rogan. Chive Kins the Kaga Maraves Rogan. Chicken Shever mother, this egg Judy, because of the same, however, the Kuchak Maravas or Chive Judah King Baru and the Shishkin was again.
Jidang there was in that's the Chigazakina. You the king, you are the Kamare.
No,
that he said, using the two sounds of Che, James and the day from up and that. She got a dead or don't tank in the dead. You say, choose that James, what is or Shagura.
No,
the king, you are kind of Maris.
Oh, and the Chive moment the culture again.
She Jura.
You moment of the Koran, music or Midabarang, so the Koran.
She said that the matter of the day that they said, Sonu said, Nira,
Alone, so
that
the good is a rug.
She did that.
One by the Chivic, and the king, the cure. Some said, the less said, the Chivic, cure again.
Less ever did that. You the king got rest over the lady, Geshe. In that, so say what the page James or John and the window.
Nonsense. Yeah, I was trying to get a clear, distinct answer to your question, but sometimes I have to be a little loud. Maybe I'm on the best side with Geshe's ear, I don't know. So yes, Geshe said, the things we talk about, like say how, the food can turn into adverse conditions. Right? That's a condition. That's not the real cause of death. In general, the Tibetan term for cause is due, and the condition is yin. In general, cause and conditions are not mutually exclusive. Yeah. But then we do differentiate between the two. Usually cause is the primary thing, like a seed, right? Rice seed. And the conditions for the rice seed to grow are the, what we call the water and the soil and the fertility, right? That's how we differentiate it, So I asked, what is really the cause of the death? Can we say? I guess said, it's one's own karma. When the karma, right, is completed or, hopefully the karma is complete, not interrupted, right? That is it. And then one of the condition factors is sometimes not only the karma, but the lack of the merit. The merit has diminished. That is condition, right? That's how he explained it.
So when that happens, when the karmically determined lifespan, let's say, is exhausted, or the merit is exhausted, then those conditions will arise.
Right.
The conditions of death.
Okay.
And it will appear as though we're dying from those things, but in fact, the underlying cause is lack of merit or lack of karmic.
That's right. Yeah, the karma is exhausted. At that time, all these conditions could arise, right? So it's a combination of the exhaustion of karma and these conditions. Yeah.
What about the exhaustion of or the weakening of the life-sustaining wind at the heart? I think somewhere in some lamrims that's
sure.
referred to as the third conditions.
Sure.
Is this also a factor?
Sure. Quran this over page lamring karichi nal dinde yong yo samada kin songzing lung yo ro again.
La.
Songzing lung yo ro.
Ore.
Songzing lung de nyam sona ro again. And di gita karo kyure ken chene yang ka so ro chit gure sa stu sa di da ga yime na so. Ko di kyure ken le da songzing lung nyam sona.
Dede this or the shit da ina lung da de to ba ra ba ga ni in songzi lung sa shin tra lung sa de go ti mo ko ko bu ge xia jian xi de kai la o mo ra ko xi de xi lu xi da ka re se na lo ra ba ga lung ga ba ga ni ông cha songzi lung sa de xi lu de songzi lung se ma do ji o yi ko de ya lung de lung ga nge ga ta ra ba o xi lu de songzi lung sa de ge re se ga ma do songzi lung de ya xia jian xi se de ge ka ma
Ale songzi lung zo ne xi lu ken xie ke yo ma ro.
de songzi lung zo xi se ge re ma da xi lu de songzi lung sa de bi la ba se da xi lu mo ne da xi ga la mo je ra da o de en long nam ju ya long ra ba ga me re do en songzi lung sa ji wo de en ko do re le ba
al di ken ta da ma nam ji ka so ke shin de chabe we se ke sem ke shimbe lung ji yo ga lung de songzi lung
o de se ba de shin de sem chobe lung sa songzi lung sa
yes, Geshe says, the life-sustaining wind energy that we talk about. He said there's no such thing as that wind energy has weakened and exhausted, we die. What happens is in the case of dying, all other coarse levels of wind energies dissolve first, right? And then the last, right, the wind that is left, as we said, is the life-sustaining wind. And I checked with him. Remember, we have the clear light, the subtlest clear light mind. It's always with the wind energy, inseparable. So that wind is called life-sustaining energy. The wind that goes with, so that, continues. It doesn't exhaust, So there's no such thing as life-sustaining wind become weak, and then that conditions the death. Because that's the last wind that's going to stay, all other winds dissolve. Yeah.
So it is not actually a cause of death.
Yeah,
it's not one of the.
Yeah.
But it says that in the Lamrims again that if some of the causes of death let's say, exhaustion of merit.
Yeah.
We exhaust merit and we're about to die, but
Yeah.
the karmically determined lifespan is still there. We still have some left. We can prolong actually by creating merit. We can postpone death. Isn't that the case? And the same with, that's why I'm confused about the life sustaining, because they said that by meditating on, let's say, vase breathing meditation will strengthen the life sustaining wind, and this will prolong life.
Oh, you mean the breathing meditation will prolong the life sustaining?
Yeah, the vase breathing and meditation at the heart. So that means, that implies that it's also a cause of death.
Yeah. Quran this sigor again than the parsa that is a layer maso bacher wage. The sonam yam the unera wage. At the day yan chicken chiro chove, you know, less soy or marwage. To the sonam did that yan ya parso wage. To the sonam ya kakevina and ya chia the chiwa de part as student, but young run the town was didn't go was. The Quran question this questions can I don't namju the lung combo or wage. Lung and enjoy combo in by now than that the songs in lung the wage. By Yaku the chocolate net early a pen oil to do so wage. Didn't even us. Lung Yame Yaku have been a song in lung the Kalsore that Nambute somewhere again. Junumeli a pen oil in this.
That the Song citizen shed the travel long said it was something long to there or something says on near Zo Shadi. The could Javalene Kadu in the co you to get the Songzi long said the long Ravagana only she called she was Shobel long she knew the memory to go around. The Songzi long said, dear, of course, that they should have the Jawa Toma, you say, you get it on what he told you. Yeah,
something wrong the never science scale.
real sorrow. So,
Lung Jungo Pungo or Wagen. Long Jungo Comedy something long near that they get pen or get or using my wagon. Lung Jungo Pomia, they something long Chapotea.
long Jungo goes out did the Rada. So the thing is, the good Jungo goes out, then Sanga had long. Oma shukse dise ne ha be namdo ka dia to da long gong ya ji long oma dia jo ro ro o di tere ma da je he long kora karsa song long kora ki ko no ji ni ka ko tu tu ka da ngo ma da da song se na long mo mo ye na ni ko da ka tu ni ko da da ga zu da da ka du song long cha song long se ya di pe je ko hala ye so ri mi da da ngo di ju go ma re so Songzilung Tadek Gazuki Songzilung Rakba Jorsiwara. That in Baba Shindu is in Rakba the God is in Shinzu. Cha, the moon Shirisima. But the Java Tamama Gan brother with the Cha, the Gorizimara.
Okay, so the first, let's say if the karma is not up yet, it's a lack of merit, then you're right. By increasing the merit, it's possible that we can prolong the lifespan. So that's possible. Now, in the case of like breathing meditation or some wind yoga, could that facilitate the sustenance of the life? What's it called? Life-sustaining wind. Geshe said that probably is not possible because the life-sustaining wind is the subtlest wind that always has existed from life beginning and it will continue, right? So, as Geshe said before. That all the gross winds which are supporting our cognitive processes, they will dissolve, and the final wind, right, that stays with a clear light mind is what we call a life-sustaining wind. Now, there is some that wind as of now, as we are here breathing, that life-sustaining wind does not exist in a manifest form, right? The life-sustaining wind could not manifest as we live right now. There is like a gross level of life-sustaining wind, that is functioning, but that too will dissolve at the end. So the only wind that is left is the subtlest life-sustaining wind. Yeah.
This is exactly what is meant by this. The gross level of the life-sustaining wind is what is the weakening of that level is what is one of the causes of death. The gross, not the subtle. We're talking about the gross, and that could be strengthened. And by implication that then it is a cause of death.
The Quran with the Samradhan again, Songzing Long Rapachi or again. something go rapat di ane kalso ko di yang tes ju de ne che do wa ge ane lung ju jungo kombal so de ne ki ko tes ne twe ge wa ge chwa chi ge sa de so wa ge ane something lung rapat di ta tes ju de ne ko che des ring du ko wa ge
là
something lung rapat di tes ju de ne ba ina che des ring du ko wa ge ta something lung rapat di so di ane chi we ju cha ge ma re so something lung rapat di so di chi we ju cha ge ma re so
他去就是呢，他现在是说那种然后这个能干的，然后现在是那个
no so
弄的个那个的，起码是然后这个就差对，现在的另外的差不多的地方了，
no so
我这个干的我们会就去练习一下，这个给他开嘛的，
something rapat di tes pa ju de ne ge ta chi ye ba na kom jam
他知道这种是他这些靠财神主的，那然后这个有人主的，
yeah so that's good yeah so Geshe says that I mean when we do the longevity rituals I think that is thought of as that maybe contributing to the sustenance of the gross form of life sustaining a little bit longer. That's how you can prolong your life a little bit. But at the end of the life, that gross level of life sustenance will also dissolve. It's not like it causes the death. It's just part of dissolution, It just has to dissolve. Yeah.
Some questions online.
Sure.
Geshe said that when we're lazy, invisible beings may try to influence negative behavior.
Yeah.
Besides being more diligent, what else can be done for protection?
Can you repeat the last part?
Besides being diligent, what else can be done for protection?
Okay, sure. Dagi can di lab ruwa ke nganzo ni da ane kharso korda mukbala kawa ina sarwa ke mima yinge ne ye le la yo ras lab ruwa ke chide kan li ya da mima yinge ne ma je che do li ya da chi sem chungbu che da ruwa ke adi member shamba khari che yo res korda da ne le la ke mo de che ke kansa da ke le lo che ba ina mima ne le la ke la ruwa ke da chi sem de chungbu che le lo ma je che ruwa ke di member khari yo res da ne
那这个讲不是啊，这我那俺的呀，对不对？他现在那是也啊。
Yeah, besides vigilance, Geshe thought there probably are many other ways to protect ourselves from the harms of invisible negative beings. Like, you can do refuge practice, you can recite mantras, you can do, I think, many other practice. Yeah. Diligence, yeah. So besides diligence, he said, yeah, you can do refuge and you can, diligence, yeah.
The next question. Would Geshe please elaborate on the approach of the contemplation of death to overcome laziness? This person says, I can see that a younger person can easily overcome laziness through reflection on death. As an older person, I feel contemplating death can be overwhelming.
Okay.
Maybe it's too little, too late. Can you please help?
Sure. Can this go to that because target on the Tiwa Shio again? That I'm also consider that Chiwa Mida the anything never the Namching never that they get comba in and a lelo the going into good slava again. That one Tiwa Tang and this or that lot too much in again. Then there's some day in a coaching same Tungo to you rest, and I can go in Slovakia. Can go in the Chiwa Mida Shara, some said you call it, then sometimes Shena game of the Rogan. The also Lelo Chom, Jikiwa to beg the Rogan. I think the deep all the king tests my something last one, so that lock tempers in the Rogan. Chiwa Meta Koba in a Shena Lang sort of Magoma said Rogan. And that is simply a Tawa here of Paradine, the colors no American.
This area. Get the children, they'll make a charge. Get children, we charge. Get the children, they'll make a charge. We say, as in short, without what the body, the road of the young Dosatan, Tavichi American here, the use of the Joe in that go who told Adama. 다 고고마데 고제세네 쇼시야 고마도나 통당
맞아요.
고세지도 신나라 기다 해고 요물고 신이야 윤조부터 타비시야요 어디 타비시야 더다라 이다도 쇼시야 해고
데스티니 직선하게 유나 베나다 kenwa yimbe chanada suwe neda sone ji gom nyamle cheden des khabu yimro nge da syer de da ne chue sen gen sem gi samra tang da sonza kenwa yimbe ne samra tang chog ro ge kebe sem ji chona ken di chue nyamle ji kun ti sha ji ro ge ma da yang khon ji ji kenwa sonza da yang gom ro chi kya shoma ni se tu yo ma ro ge di gi dinde me ro ge di lamne di go na
어디 개고이나 그다 지다다 시월 열일에 사서 저마지 다 시월 다지도 시월 사이 시월 해야 돼 세질 가가 열어
la ri ne da gona samra da ma ne gen shin na ma nga ji ro ko pen do yo ya cha ro ge da kenwa so da ko shi ni bo yo ro ge ko shin na ye so na ne chue nyamle cha yung go ma ro be ji ne be la de ro ge
좀 짜게 세 시도를 다 just that question of no sanchara 시를 시를 두자를 들어야 타기를 이제 요리시 이 추시야 라자적으로 지금 이거 타기 위해서 먼저 내가 점지 진짜 저야 계세를 다 딱지로 서서 있으면 그 서서시야 정말이에요.
Okay, so I was just trying to get as clear answer to the response, right? Sometimes I know there's a cultural divide somewhere, so I'm just trying to erase those as much as I could. So I have to yell sometimes just to make sure Geshe understand what we're asking. But Geshe, understand that the younger person, because of more energy, they can do something. But the fact of the matter is, there's no such thing as we said before. The young is going to live longer than the old, right? The old might outbid the young one, right? That's the thing. And also, the reason why we don't let reflection on death to overwhelm us is because there's a solution that comes with it, isn't it? There's a purpose for that. So we always keep the purpose in the mind that the reason why I'm thinking this is not just to scare myself out, freak out, but there is a solution, right? So I can think positively. I can go for refuge, right? Even as an older person, right? Even if let's say you can't sit in meditation for like 10 hours or something, Geshe didn't say that, 10 hours, okay? Like a young people, but still you can think positively, isn't it? You can go for refuge. So this is how he said, by doing these things, I'm preparing myself for that eventuality. I don't know when that will come. You might even live and outbid many young people, right? But then at the time of death, I'll try to remember the refuge practice, right? So this is how you bring like a balance into our awareness of death. And Geshe quoted the powerful stanza from Shantideva. If something can be done, why worry? If nothing can be done, what's the point of worrying, isn't it? So our meditation on death is because something can be done, that's why we're doing it. If nothing can be done, so better not think about it, right? Because what's the point? There's no point about it. Hopefully that sort of answers your question. Yeah. Is there anything else? Or behind the glass wall? Sorry, I always forget. We have people behind the glass wall. Anybody has any questions? No. Okay, if not, then I think I have a number of announcements to make today. So we'll do that. I'll inform Geshe first. And then again, this subject, set up a share the again. Because the Roman David Bellows and Tong, this ship with the sunny dead wagon. So I choose a Kubalia topic years at the chart going, you wrote chase the wagon. Then again, September, how about the wagon? And then conduct to the chapel top again. Then Shuma San Yama delegate to the ship with the white. I did to the chapel, choosing by your again. At the Tandagan choose a tango even Juni Chagarwa, Shuma San Yama. Shuma San, so I have 3 announcements. I informed Geshe. So tomorrow is the 49th day of the passing away of one of our Dharma brothers, David Bellows. And his wife is in India, and she would like to participate in the puja, sock offering, and that's why the sock offering will be tomorrow morning at 9. So if anybody has time, willing to participate in this, so you're welcome at morning at 9, okay, because then she can participate at the same time in India. So that's announcement 1. Announcement 2 is that November 4th, Saturday, is Buddha's descent from the Tushita Buddha field, auspicious day. And so we will do chalk offering at 7:30. Next Saturday is Buddha's descent from the Tushita Buddha field. Announcement number 3, probably you already know that next Sunday is the daylight saving time change. So 1 hour back, right? Fall back. So that, I think I checked the calendar, it's like 2 in the morning. Who gets 2 in the morning anyway? So before you go to bed, we will change that. So those are the reminders. And so we will do the long life prayers first, and then the dedication verses later. Page 3. Lord Jiangzi Yudong Gaden Geshe Phuntsok Gyeltsen Member Xin Denba Zinla Wando Jiche Tangnian Chogun Jol So Wan De Page 5. Ma Wan Dame Gunjian Donga De Kangli Zhongso Ninda Senze Wa Zhanggun Jiawa Niwa Yapse Tangson Tenzin Mabe Shiva Tenzin Chebe Jingguan Zebe Xie Nikun Changzhu Tendu Longdo Tamche Zebe Beiyun Je Lüja Jiazhi Wendu Tesang Gongdang Zeze Zombe Yongzhou Yule Tube Nyake Longli Dejin Nebe Beden Be Tuden Kangli Dabo Shabden Dona Gongmen Zeba Namdar Gu Tendang Zhove Pende Zhove Tundu Jumi Chebe Chinle Gesang Duje Dendo Shabden Chizi Lame Tuje Mulamda Gesang Duje Dendang Zangme Chozong Dodo Jido Domba Jidao Membe Dungu Lundu Sho Page 9. Ramjan Shinge Gombo Seba Dodo Namje Geyun Jema Chojo Zeye Lado Tamze Tagde Mishi Mun Tobden Chida Rosan Yawa Yi Shiro Temban Zimbe Peyu Tade Deja Jonge Shinye Yangde Ninje Ombo Sowa De Jiden Sungwe Chana Pem Tembe Zawa Soson Tawa Yi Nanda Chudin Yangda Rosan Jenden Bebe Shabden Sho Tejo Jaje Nonze Yangbe Sangjo Namje Sangzen Junbe Gongjo Xieba Songjo Tembe Mata Chenbo Shabden Sho Chebe Dongma Gowa Bojo Zebe Lilan Siwe Gongda Zebe Denden Leishe Rang Kejo Xinyin Chenbo Shabden Sho Kebe Longzhen Zebe Chara Niezo Tada Sangben Deja Jungge Yishe Sonde Xinyin Chenbo Shabden Sho Tesang Rola Jawe Ten Minjong Daje Zangme Sijin Ba Lajen Zijin Tendu Tode Xinyin Chenbo Shabden Sho Chosong Yawa Seje Chenla Tode Tamjin Yazhu Daja Lasang Dabe Chidang Memben Dungu Lendo Sho. Sorry, what's the name of your brother? Alex, okay. So we'll do for Alex and others, Om Mani Padme Hum, and many who died in the Middle East as well. Quran Chola Tong the Deda again, Shajilia Ma or Mishiding and said again, Manistan to again. Chadong Holu Yewe, Yewo, Don, Jendang, Gewa, Sangbe, Sangye, Don, Gangla, Gandu, Dela, Jemba, Jere, Sela, Changze, Do, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani. Omane Beme Ore Gawandi Nyodo Da Chende Sewan Rojo Loa Chejam Te Sala Gumbo Sho Chanjo Simjo Rimbo Je Maje Pana Yewa Nyamba Meba Ya Bone Kwa Yewa Sho Tongni Tawa Rimbo Je Maje Pana Yeyo Je Yewa Nyamba Gongne Gongdong Pewa Sho Sa Shi Gue Jie Zhu Qi Me Do Zhang Rui Ra Ling Qi Nin De Jian Ba Sang Jie Xin Du Mei De Hui Wa Lu Guen Nang Da Xin La Jue Ba Sho Han Ri Ra Wei Guo Wei Xin Bam De Ben Dang De Wa Ma Lu Zhong Jian Re Si Wang Tenzin Jiang Shabe Siden Bazo Denjo Je Yedang Guru Radam Niyanda Ya Min Gewa Gundo Yangda Lamanda Deme Cheje Bela Longje Sada Lanje Yunde Rabzo Ne Doje Changi Goba Nyu Do Jo